All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to this week's Stock Market Outlook video brought to you by DeepView and the Trade Lab. As always, we're going to run through the market indexes, leading stocks, and discuss, what happened next week and my current outlook for the next one. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Starting with the QQQ, we made fresh highs here on this Friday. We had an inside week last week and now burst through, pull back into the 21 EMA. Nice constructive action off lows here, consolidation day, and then a pop higher here on Friday. Overall, we're above a rising 10, 21, and 50 SMA, so we are in an uptrend currently. If we go to SPY, very similar action, and this high, this Friday reversal high, both on the Qs as well as on the SPY, that is the key level here that we were able to pop across. Now we do have this gap up here. It looks a little vulnerable to me. I'd love to see a retest, consolidation, tightening here up against this level here, and then a rebound higher continuing the trend. That would be very constructive. That would be a decline in volatility. And even if we respect, these highs, if we pull back and respect these highs as well on a closing basis, that would be constructive action. What wouldn't look like constructive action would be one sharp down day, breaking below these highs, testing the 10 EMA, and then of course fall through to the downside. And next week we have quite a few of the key megacaps reporting earnings that could swing things wildly one way or another. So I think next week will be a really important test, and how those earnings reports are received, whether they beat estimates, and also the price reaction itself afterwards is really key for setting the tone of this earnings season. So we'll have to see how Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft perform next week after earnings, and how the market reacts most importantly. So let's go ahead and run through these charts as well. Let's start with Google. This actually I put on my watch list, actually GGL, the 2X variant, because we are testing and breaking out of, setting up to break out, which we did on Friday here of this short base here. This has been actually a very strong performing name, up about 50% before this tight base. You've got an undercut, positive expectation breaker, push higher up the right-hand side, tightening action, inside day, basically two consolidation days priming the setup, and we've got the breakthrough here on Friday. So watching for fall through to the upside here on Google. And let's go over here so we can bring up some more charts. Let's bring up Tesla first and foremost. This obviously had a gap down on earnings, but a very strong oops reversal bar, in response to it the next day. So this was very constructive. An oops reversal is basically where we have a gap down below the prior day's low and recover back through that level. And the best thing that can happen after an oops reversal is it actually goes outside day, which Tesla did, taking out the prior day's high as well. Now here on Friday, we did pull back and pull back relatively hard. This was down 3.4%. But for me, this is still consolidation day. I'm expecting volatility after earnings, and we got, some volatility. We pulled back in, but overall, this is tightening action compared to this prior bar. And we're setting up clear pivots right near here to the top side. So, I'd love to see it push higher next week, and this is be top of my focus list. We've got a potential catalyst with, I think, the shareholders meeting coming up. So we'll see how that impacts things. But we do have earnings out of the way. And right now we're just forming basically a 12% deep base if we go from this high, and it's even tighter if we go from this high about 8% after a strong breakout. And going over to a weekly chart here, this looks constructive. It's just basically 5 weeks into this consolidation, big push off lows last week. And, these remain the key pivots above as we consolidate close to those prior highs. So we'll have to see what happens here with Tesla, but overall constructive action. Now, if it leaks lower and really tests this low and definitely undercuts the low, that would be negative. But we have the 50 SMA rising to support. So if it builds out higher, that would be another key level supporting the price action. So Tesla, overall constructive. If we can hold here, build out, tighten even, and then break out through these lows, these highs, that's what I'll be looking for. Bringing up Meta, you can see based on the the DeepView earnings flag here, we've got the earnings date October 29th, so some big levels here. This overall is forming out a big base right near a large weekly level. You can see this right here, bigger base, and then basically a double bottom base right here that is basically forming out that handle. Going back to a daily, you've got a tight range here right below that level. Everything's getting primed into earnings, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, decent earnings growth, revenue growth, and we'll see what the price reaction is to earnings next week. Microsoft is setting up, up the right-hand side of the base. We're able to hold above this bigger pivot. Basically, 2 consolidation days to end last week, and earnings upcoming as well, October 29th. So that will be a big day for the markets, and October 30th, seeing the actual reaction as well. But holding above the moving averages and setting up for a big move, either to the upside or to the downside. Bring up Amazon. This had an undercut and rally here, double bottom base, and we reclaimed the 21 EMA strongly, testing that 50 SMA from the downside. So I'd expect some consolidation here. It's pushed pretty hard since this undercut, and some consolidation would be normal and natural into earnings. And again, earnings date for that is October 30th, so day after the other ones. Bringing up Apple. This one has been trending nicely, good recovery after the reclaim of the 21 EMA, and now trending back above all those moving averages. So the megacaps looks pretty strong, and are potentially setting up for some big moves, obviously, into earnings next week. Bring up Palantir. This one did push through the short-term range, but still overall is in this choppy consolidation. This does seem like churning action to me, and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are in this name. This is a later stage base within the overall move, but if it can break out and push out here on volume, that would do a world of good to heal this chart and set up for another strong rally like Palantir is capable of. If we do get a big downside reversal near the top of the base, likely we'll need even more time and more longer term basing process before this can make another strong move, but definitely a name to keep an eye on as you go. Reddit, this has been pulling back strongly, but did have a pop here on Friday, reclaiming the 21 EMA. We do have earnings for this one October 30th, and it's just basing now. So watching for a gap up, and that could set the stage for another move higher. I love the weekly chart on this. If we bring that up, big consolidation and basically forming another base here, forming out that handle. So if we get a gap up, that would reclaim the 10-week moving average, likely reclaim this big weekly level as well, and set the stage for another strong move just like this. So we'll have to see what happens here with Reddit. Bringing up A-Lab. This has been consolidating, pulling back, and forming out a base. You have a gap down. It's in a down cycle, but some movement to the upside. Just a name I'm keeping on my radar at this point because it can make really great moves. It's been good to me in the past, but right now is basing. So just watching for a push up the right-hand side, reclaim of that 21 EMA. And we also have earnings coming up November 4th. Overall, in the semiconductor space, we had some good, strong action to end the week. We had a gap up CRDO above this level. I'd love to see a tight pull in back into that pivot. 21 EMA lining up to support, and then a push higher from a range breakout up the right-hand side. MU has been acting well, just trending beautifully. Nvidia, let's bring up that chart. We haven't talked about it just yet. On the watch list, the TradeLab watch list here, as it formed this tight consolidation between the 50 SMA and the base pivot, and popping higher here on Friday. So watching for follow through to the upside. Follow through is key, and that's basically when a stock makes a big move, whether it's on earnings, whether it's a base breakout. If you see follow through, that's suggestive of institutional buying versus just retail buying. And if it's just retail buying, likely this will fail and reverse back down and need more consolidation. So definitely looking for follow through to the upside here, and basically the start of a strong trend with Nvidia. And if Nvidia is doing well, likely the entire semiconductor space, AI theme is going to have that tailwind going for it. So that's definitely the key names. Let's run through some of the biggest movers last week. Let's sort by percent change 5-day. Newegg, just not really a institutional quality name, but can make big pops. And from these tight action, you've got the range breakout here on this day, and then it failed and recovered and ultimately rebroke out, and then we got a strong 40% move. GTX, an interesting name to keep an eye on. This had an earnings gap here and fall through nicely the next day, so keep an eye on this name if we get some type more of consolidation, but actionable here on day 2 as well. SNDK continues to trend higher. CRS, another earnings gapper to keep an eye on. Better, just a more performance enhancer type name, but had a strong move from this tight day. This tight day was a nice clue here. Pega, another recent earnings gapper. So a great idea right now during earnings season is to keep a watch list. And this is what I'm doing in the Trade Lab, is keep a watch list of recent gaps that are showing strong action. And then you track those, you see if there's any entry tactics, whether that's a range breakout, whether that's an HVC reclaim, whether that's, a breakout through the earnings day highs, whatever you can, use creatively after tracking those names. But what's important is to track them so you can potentially profit from a post-earnings trend that we so often see in a strong environment where there's follow through. We had a number of strong moves to end out last week. Oust, Dave, LC is another name I'm keeping an eye on. Recent earnings gap, tight inside day. So we'll see if it can break out through this inside day high or undercut and reclaim this HVC level. StubHub, an IPO that tried to make a nice move here on Friday, but is running into the resistance level. So I'd love to see some tightening action near that, near this spot, and then a significant and successful range breakout. PI, another great name from the Trade Lab watch list, was watching this semiconductor theme, tightening right here. This is my bread and butter setup right near the 21 EMA. And explosive move here. They did have an analyst upgrade here, but strong close, strong throughout the day, and basically consolidating here on this Friday, little downside reversal. As long as it stays tight here, lets a 10 EMA catch up, it's doing nothing wrong. MedPace, a number of these names in the life sciences and tools theme is acting well. Biotech is acting well. Pharma, SPHR trending nicely. You had a nice push off from this tight day, reclaiming this level, and breakout of the short base, and is just trending above the moving averages. NXT, solar space, and been watching Sedge as well, but this has been choppy and not really successful, and this theme isn't really too strong just yet. I noticed here on Friday a lot of the crypto related names have been waking up a little bit. So we've got Coin reclaiming the 21 EMA. We have a lot of miners acting well. We've got Circle acting well if we bring up that chart, but we'll see if this can actually rally and push higher. If we go over to IBIT, there's obviously significant downtrend after the failure, after all the volatility. Now it's tightening under the moving averages, so could get directional either way, but it is below the 21 EMA, and that's kind of the ultimate gauge for me of the trend. So still has to prove itself here, but it is constructive to see it tightening after all this extreme volatility, and we'll see how Bitcoin acts this weekend. Let's see if there's any other names I really want to touch on. We've got quite a bit to focus on next week. Shop has been acting well, earnings upcoming as well. RMBS, if we bring up that chart, another name, semiconductor name acting well. A lot of these were primed for a directional move. They were very tight right here. This is what I look for, RMV going to zero and watching and waiting for a range breakout just like this. So a lot of those were successful. AMD definitely worth keeping an eye on and actionable on this pullback to the earnings gap high, and then a nice expansion here on Friday. So semiconductors are showing some life, which I think is good for the AI theme. But the key thing to be watching next week is those mega caps. How do they perform on earnings? And do we get gap ups and follow through? Again, the best market environments for swing traders and position traders is when we get follow through on breakouts and gap ups. That's the best environment. Recently, it's been choppier. It's been better to buy, these pullback entries to the 10 EMA versus trying to buy strength because we haven't gotten that follow through. And follow through is key to give you profit cushion to either, hold through the volatility or just, take profits if you're a much faster swing trader. But overall, things are constructive end to last week, constructive overall as we had an inside weekend up on most names. And we'll see what next week brings us with all those key, earnings reports. And that's another great, way to gauge the market health is, do we get a lot of earnings gap ups? Just like looking for follow through, the more gap ups we have that hold and progress higher, the better. And that's basically a sign that the institutions, have strong risk appetite. And that's, again, the best environment to be a swing trader is when the institutions are on our side and following through on those gap ups and breakouts. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.